The easiest place to start investing is the stock market because the barrier of entry is extremely small. You can start building your investment portfolio with as little as $100. That's nothing. Most people watching this video can do that. Of course, with $100, you can't do much. It's not gonna build you an overnight success where it will give you a passive income that can retire you. But nonetheless, once you start investing, you can start building up your portfolio to the point where it will be a passive income source that can get you to retirement. When you buy a Coca-Cola stock, for example, you turn yourself into one of the owners of Coca-Cola. Of course, one stock isn't going to give you a lot of power because a single Coca-Cola stock costs around $60 or something like that. And the total valuation of the company is almost $250 billion. But nonetheless, that still turns you into one of the many owners of Coca-Cola. And stock market is the reason why we have so many huge companies. At some point, we realized that instead of starting the business on your own, instead of just putting your own resources, a lot of people can come together, put down their resources, and build and fund a huge project that will turn out to be a global multi-billion-dollar company. And that's the point of the stock market. Building wealth through the stock market means finding the companies that will tackle world's biggest problems and successfully solve them. Now, take a look at Nvidia, for example. It's one of the largest companies out there, but that wasn't the case a few years ago. Over the last 12 months, every stock of Nvidia has grown by probably like from $200 to over $800. And the total valuation of the company has grown to over $2 trillion. Why, you might ask? Over the last few years, we realized that everything we build needs computer chips. They need semiconductors. Regardless if you're building a car or a fridge or an air conditioning or even rockets that you want to use to start a war, for example. You cannot build any of these things without having semiconductors. And Nvidia is one of the companies that builds those semiconductors. Remember back in 2020 and 2021, we had a huge shortage of cars. Why? Because we did not have enough computer chips to build these cars. And today there is literally a war going on around the world because there is such a huge demand for semiconductors, and there are literally a handful of companies that build some of the most advanced semiconductors in the world. That's why the stock price of Nvidia has grown dramatically. And Nvidia isn't alone. There are plenty of companies that have been growing dramatically over the last few years. And since OpenAI released their ChatGPT bot, they well realized that, wait a second, AI is the future. And that's why if you take a look at any company today, they're working on their version of AI. Even Tesla back then realized that Tesla could be one of the largest AI companies in the world. So the challenge to build your wealth through the stock market is to find those companies that are going to dominate the world in the next 5 or 10 years. You aren't going to make a lot of money today, but if you successfully pick the right stocks, if you invest in the right stocks that will end up becoming world's largest companies, you cannot just triple your wealth, but you can literally make 1,000% on your investment. And these investments will eventually turn into a passive income source because these companies will keep rising.